have an anonymous guest for you today for reasons you will shortly find out. She's a very, very cool person, very, very sweet person, very, very kind person, but her story is disturbing. It's legitimately disturbing, and disturbing in a way that is actually, I think it's more common than we realize, but it is still uncommon. It's sort of the inverse of the more common version, which is when a man abuses a woman, whether emotionally or physically. In this case, our guest's father slowly over a 3-4 year period was so severely mentally and emotionally and a little bit physically abused by his new, he had divorced his mother her mother, her and her sister's mother. Wow, that's so confusing. Our guest has a father and a sister. Her father had divorced her mother 20 years prior, and he finally started dating again. And this woman that he started dating was abusing him. And over a period of years, ended up with this massive, disturbing, crazy amount of control over her father. And she sort of witnessed this man change from a very loving, involved, caring father to a totally absent and sort of shrouded in mystery father, because this woman was sort of controlling everything about his life. It gets really, really hectic, and she'll tell it better than I can, clearly. So I'm going to let her do that. But yes, thank you. I'm not going to say your name, but thank you for coming on the show. It is an important story, an important kind of story to tell. And it is a reminder that, yes, this happens, and it's good for everybody to be aware of. If you want to be a guest on the show, go to theprivaterecord.com and submit yourself as a potential guest. We can't wait to hear from you. We have hundreds and hundreds of submissions, but yes, we want more. So submit yourself now. What was I going to say? Oh, yes. Follow us on socials at The Private Record, Instagram, TikTok, and of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel at The Private Record. Like the video, comment on the video, and share this video, this episode with your friends if you do indeed like it. That's how we're going to grow this show to the epic proportion that it needs to grow to. Enjoy the episode. I love you. I love you forever. I love you even after I die. I will go on loving you. Thanks for watching or listening. Okay, welcome to The Private Record. Thank you for coming on the show. I was just about to say your name, but we're not doing that because we're not going to mention your name for good reasons. Happy to have you here. If you don't mind, for people, I know a little bit about your story, and I can't wait to hear you tell it, because I can't wait to have it verified that it's actually the story, because I actually can't believe what I do know. But that being said, if you could give people who have no idea, who are listening or watching right now, a headline of what that story is or what's to come, then we can get right into it from the beginning.
Oof, yeah. I've listened to your podcast obviously before, and I was prepared for like, ooh, what's a genre? So I was like, well, sure, kind of like Well, I was like, it's kind of like the classic drama, you know, with the arc and the family dynamics and everything. But I don't know. I guess what I included in what I've told you just briefly was like that my dad fled in the night. So, I mean, maybe that could
dad
be like
escapes bad situation in the night with help from daughters. Yeah, great. Okay, cool. All right, let's start. Wherever you feel like is the best place to start, go for it.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I feel like the beginning, right, is just is a good place to go. Maybe backing up even just for context. So I'm very Greek, and so is my family. And that will be important later. But my parents got divorced when I was really young. I was about 4 or 5. And my mom remarried pretty early, but my dad was single like the whole time. He had a couple of girlfriends, but nothing really ever serious or anything really long. It was pretty clear that like his relationship, all he needed was like us, me and my sister. It was like,
so
call
you and your one sister is your dad's whole life.
Whole life. Okay. Just like from as young as I can remember, it was just like, you're my everything and you're my reason for living. And it's like, good to put on a 5-year-old. Oh, but like not
Yeah,
then.
yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Sure.
Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
a
yeah.
lot. But yeah, he would call every day, every week. We'd see him twice a week. We were very like Greek people live together. They're very family
Mm-hmm.
oriented, and so I mean, even now, I'm like, when we moved to Los Angeles, my dad was like, "Oh, I see you have a garage. You know, do you think we could maybe?" I'm like, "Dad, you're
Oh,
not going to live
wow.
with us."
Wow, wow,
Like
wow.
it's
Yeah,
very, very
I
close.
feel like
So
Greek families and Italian families have a lot of overlap in their
yes,
family orientedness. They're sort of, yeah, okay, cool, yeah. Because I have experience with that.
loudness.
Obviously, I was going to say
Yeah.
loudness, but I didn't want to insult the Greek people. I can insult the Italian people
Oh
because I am
no.
one. But yeah, yeah,
They
yeah,
would be the first to say it.
yeah.
But yeah, so we, very, very close. If we went a week or so without talking to him, it would be like, as we got older and we're like, oh, we're cool, Dad. We
Right.
have friends
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
He would be
Totally.
like, oh,
Yeah.
please call. So yeah, fast forward to like 2017, or I don't know exactly when the relationship started because he like didn't tell us. So
Even that's crazy. Yeah.
retrospect,
Yeah.
right? You're like,
Yeah.
okay, well, in retrospect, maybe there was some flags, but
Yeah.
in the moment, you don't really think
Yeah.
about it.
Of
I was like,
course.
oh, maybe it's just not that serious yet, or he didn't want to say before he knew, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But so he tells us, and we're like, okay, great, like finally,
Mm-hmm.
we've been waiting for you to have somebody. Like
And
at
how
this
old are
point, he's
you? Around what age are you when he starts finally having a serious relationship?
I'm this was in 2006 or 17, so I was 25,
Oh,
and
so
my
he
sister
really
was.
went like 20 years.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, 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 like a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, and my sister was 22 or 3. She's 2.5 years younger.
Got
So,
it.
yeah, so we find out and we're like, okay, great. We love that for you. He's like, he lived in Chicago and I lived in Bloomington, Indiana, which is
Mm.
like 3.5 hours south. And he was like, what if we came down for like a lunch and you could meet her and we
Mm.
could like go on a little walk. I have a dog. We're like, yeah, that sounds great. Come on down. And she seems so nice, like
Mm.
so normal, as usually people say in these stories.
I was
They're
going to say
like,
that's how these
no
begin.
red
Yeah.
flags.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, she was, yeah, just super nice and like really kind to my dad, and kind to us. And we had a great time. Again, in retrospect, it's funny, like my dad didn't really seem at ease, like, he seemed kinda agitated the
Mm.
whole time, and, I mean, he has, like, a hot temper, so, like, that's not completely abnormal, but there's a little part of me that was like, "She's so nice, like, why are you being so weird?" Like,
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
"We're
Yeah.
having
Yeah.
a great time, like,
Yeah.
this is good." And so, then nothing like, really 'cause I was trying to remember everything,
Hmm.
um, to get ready for this interview. And it's actually funny. I'm like going off a little tangent, but
Yeah.
I
It's okay.
listened to the
Yeah.
private record. And when I was hearing stories, I was like, this is so crazy. Like, these are people's lives. These things happen. Like,
Yeah.
I can't believe nothing like this happened to me. And it was like, I just had a moment of like, oh my gosh, yes, they do.
That's
Like,
the
it was like
thing.
I had
No, it's true.
blocked it.
No one thinks because they happen to them, in your case, you, no one
Yeah,
thinks that their truly wild experience is that because they're so used to it because they already went through it. So, like, a lot of
right.
times people have been through a really crazy thing and they don't know it. And you kind of have
Yeah.
to get it out of them. And then they say something about it and you're like, what? You said you were boring. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Yeah. So, I totally get it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, and I think also part of that is because like this all happened, and of course, like my family knows and my sister knows, but I've
Hmm.
never not because like again, I'm on this podcast, so it's
Hmm.
not like I'm not willing to talk about it. It's just
Yeah.
kind of like I didn't, and
Hmm.
now I'm like, wow, thinking back and like putting like telling the whole story
Yeah.
is just kind of it's crazy. But
That's
okay,
interesting a lot.
so
Even just that is interesting,
yeah,
you know? Yeah.
yeah. It's but I think it's good. I'm, like, excited to just, like, get it all out and acknowledge that it even happened because I think part of me was, like, pretending like it didn't
Yeah, I get
happen.
that. Totally, yeah. No, it's good,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, so, like, I would say, like, about 3 years go by, since they'd like started, since he told us,
Hmm.
and they were dating. And, like, again, as these stories go, it's like nothing seemed weird. We were talking, and he was talking to us a little less, but it was
Hmm.
like, yeah, he has a new girlfriend. Like, that's great. Like,
Hmm.
although I'm glad to not talk to my dad every single day. Like, we
Yeah.
love that. Like, good. I'm so glad you're happy.
Yeah.
But then it started to kind of get weird. Like, we really wouldn't hear from him for a while, or when we would call him, he always seemed like he was trying to get off the phone,
Huh.
and he could like talk forever.
Right.
Like,
Right. Right.
he would just be like, "What'd you do today? What'd you eat? Where'd you go? Like, who'd you see?" And so I was like, "Well, that's kind of weird." And then kind of like, so I feel like there are like two main climaxes to the
Mm.
story, but this is like the first one. My sister had called. So she lived in Los Angeles at this time. She moved out like the second she turned 16. She's
Oh
like,
wow.
peace out.
Okay.
So she was in Los Angeles, but she'd come back to visit. And I don't remember why, if it was like, it was the summer, so it couldn't have been a holiday, but she was coming back for some reason. And she was like, asking basically if she could stay with my dad while she was in town, which is
Hmm.
also just crazy. Like, never would we have to even ask that question.
Oh,
But
okay.
he was
Right.
like, kind of not like, oh, of course I'll come pick you up and you'll stay here. And like,
So he wasn't
and then she,
volunteering it like he usually does. So she was like, "Can I
right,
stay with you?"
stay with you.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, and during this whole conversation, he was kind of being like, again, like dodgy and just trying to hang
Huh.
up the phone and get off. And she just kind of asked him point blank, like, are you saying that I can't stay
Right.
with you?
Right. Yeah.
And he was like, I just don't think it would be best, but like, I'll help you find like we can get you a really nice hotel, or like. And she was just a little in tears and kind of in shock. Like, this
Oh
is like
man. Yeah. That sucks. Yeah.
weird, like this is very unlike him. And so she tells me, and maybe like being the older sister, I'm like, I
Yeah.
gotta. No one makes my sister cry. Like, I
Right.
gotta
Yeah.
figure this
Totally.
out. And so I call Maria,
That's
and
his.
that's her name.
Okay. Yeah.
That's his girlfriend.
Right.
And I'm just like, because at this point, I'm like, is something wrong? Like,
It's
is
so
he
out of
okay? Like,
character. Like I'm thinking about if my
right,
dad did that. If I didn't live
right,
near him and I was coming to town, I stay with him every time I come, and now I'm coming into town, and he's like, the weird thing about it wouldn't even necessarily be that the answer is no. The weird thing about it would be like, why don't I know why the answer is no? Do you know what I mean? Like, because there
right.
are reasons
Yeah.
that make sense, but to be dodgy and avoidant, it's like, well, what the fuck is the
Why?
reason? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, and he is like an oversharer. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like, we know everything about his life. And so if something was going on and we didn't know, that's also concerning. Granted,
Totally.
like, we're in our young 20s, mid 20s. So there's a little bit of like, I'm in my own world. Maybe I'm not paying attention as much or
Mm.
something. But still, it's like at this point now, we're like, oh, something's going on.
Yeah.
Um, so I call her, I call Maria, and I'm like, hi, Maria. And she's like, hello. And I'm like, this is, oh, but this is me. I'm, I'm like, I was going to say my name, but I was like, and she goes, well, maybe you could leave this out for the story. But I'm like, this is, and she's like, who? And I'm like,
What?
Jim, yes. And this is now for like 4 years of them, like on the fourth year of them dating. We've met also, like, I've met her more than once. Like,
So wait,
and
is
so
she
I'm like,
pretending like she doesn't know who you are?
to this day, I still don't know if she
Right.
genuinely like didn't, or was like pretending. Like, you'll see. She is
Yeah.
crazy. Like,
Okay.
she is crazy.
Clearly.
So I
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
don't know. I don't know the reason.
Yeah.
But she says like, Adriana, who? And I'm like, Jim's daughter? Like, what do you mean who? I'm like, Jim's daughter. And she kind of pauses. And this is where I'm like, I wish I could remember everything she said, but
Mm.
she basically just goes off on me. She's like, you don't even know what's been going on. You don't know like how hard it's been for me in this family, and like how difficult this has been, and just how horrible everyone's been to me. And I'm just like,
What?
what is happening? Right?
Yeah.
Like, up until this point, I'm like, things have been a little weird, but the last time I met you was like very pleasant. So
Yeah.
I'm just like,
Yeah.
what's going
What are you
on?
even talking
And
about, right? Like, you don't even
what
know
are
what
you
she
even talking
might
about?
be talking about, right?
No idea.
Yeah, yeah.
No idea. And so I'm just like, Marie, like, so what don't I know? Like, I would love to know. And at this point too, I'm like, oh my God, is something really bad
Totally.
happening? Like, what's hard? Please tell me. Like, I
Yeah,
would love to
yeah,
know.
yeah.
Then she's just like, everybody in your family hates me. Everybody's against me. I know even you're probably against me.
Oh,
Everybody just
wow.
wants me. And I'm just like, no, like, I have nothing against you. Like, I'm really not sure what you're talking about. And she's like, she says at one point that so my dad has a sister who is literally the nicest person you'll ever meet in your life. Like I sometimes wish for her to be a little bit meaner.
Yeah,
I'm just like,
yeah,
oh, the world doesn't deserve you, you
yeah,
know.
right,
But
yeah.
she's so nice. And she's like, your aunt, like, she just never welcomed me into this family and she hates, like, just all this untrue stuff,
Right,
like,
yeah.
so clearly untrue. And
Mhm,
I'm just like, I don't know what's I'm just like calling to see if my dad's okay. Like,
mhm.
now I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And I can't really get a word in because every time I do, she's just like, you don't understand. Like, you're against me, you're against me, you're against me. And I'm just, and family's against me. And I'm like,
Wow.
what the heck?
Yeah.
And
What a
so
paranoid
I tell,
person too. Like, it's kinda scary when you encounter someone like that because 'cause you're just like, "Can you
yeah,
define against you? Like, what do you even mean?" Because I know some people, I've known
yeah,
people like that in my past, and they say these vague things about my feelings about them that I don't A, don't feel at all, but B, it's like they're so clearly down this rabbit hole and have no perspective whatsoever about the
hmm,
truth. And so you don't even know where to start because you don't even know what they're talking
no,
about and it's not true. And you're just like, but what, I don't know what to say at all.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, paranoid is the word. Scared is totally. I mean, I was like scared. I mean, I didn't.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've dealt with someone who was that like unhinged, I
Yeah.
guess, or
Yeah.
that, you know,
Yeah.
just I'm like, I don't even know what's going on. And
Hmm.
so I'm scared for my dad. I'm scared, like I'm just I don't know what to do. I
Yeah.
tell my sister. And so at this point, we're like, okay, clearly like something's happening. Like this woman, either like I didn't think what she was saying was true, but I'm like, maybe something still happened. And I don't know. I'm still in the like, I want to figure this out. Like
Yeah.
my dad's just he tells us like these things happened. Like my aunt's husband, I guess maybe that's what she meant. Like one time they came over and he like wasn't super friendly to her, but he's just kind of like
But
it's not that
that's
he's
not
unfriendly. He's just but that's not that, right? Like
extrapolating that into everyone in the family's against me and it's been so hard for 3 years is like, you're the most dramatic person in the world or you're fucking crazy. And it sounds like it's the
right.
latter. Yeah.
Right. But then and so then my dad kind of starts like hearing it, but you can hear he's also frantic. You know, he's just like wanting to calm. I mean, he lives, oh, I don't know actually at this point. So at some point, we also find out that they have moved in together, that he had like sold his house, that she sold her condo, and that they bought another place together. And we didn't know that
He
either.
didn't tell you that?
No.
Oh,
So, and I
wow.
don't remember if this came out like, this is where it's like a little blurry. I don't remember if that happened before or after this
Okay.
phone call, but
Okay.
like,
Yeah.
that came out at some point too.
Right.
And I'm just like, kind of like in the, okay, well, let's just be here for our dad with whatever he needs right now. Like,
Hmm.
clearly something's happening.
Hmm.
We don't know what.
Hmm.
He's starting to kind of tell us, but he's not like, he hasn't give he's just kind of like she's just upset and you know I think it would mean a lot if you guys just like reached out more or like you know like apologize for not calling more like I don't know just like
Yeah.
stuff again that doesn't make sense but I'm
Right.
just thinking like okay sure you know if like
Yeah.
this is what you need
Yeah.
like
Totally. Yeah.
we'll do that for you you know and so we're like trying to text her, like, don't know what's going on, but like as I've said on the call, like we said before, we're happier with our dad. Like, we like you.
And
Like, everything's
he's not being
good.
specific either when you talk to him. He's not like, this thing happened and she thinks this, even though it's not true. He's just being also vague.
He said, like, he gave some examples. Like,
Okay.
I guess at one point, my grandmother's, his mom's sister, my great
Uh-huh.
aunt, she lives in Greece. Like, we still have family there. And I
Uh-huh.
guess at one point they were on the phone, and she, like, inadvertently had called Maria fat. She's not, she's like a normal sized woman,
Right.
or like maybe some comment of like, oh, you eat a lot, or like, I don't know, something. And so
I
that
mean,
was
that's
one
funny, but
example he
like, who
gave.
fucking
But
cares?
right, who cares?
That the
Who
result of that is
cares?
not, it's been so hard here for 3 years and you have no idea. Like, your grandmother,
Yeah,
sister called me kind of
me
fat. Like,
fat,
what the
kind
fuck?
of fat. Yeah,
Like, okay.
right. So,
Can I talk to my dad? Like, what is going on here? Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
truly. But again, it sounds like he's kind of afraid, but I don't know why. And I'm able to say that now, but like then I didn't really, I don't think knew that was happening.
Okay.
I think he
Okay.
just wanted to, like, to me, it seemed like, oh, he's stressed about something, or like she's kind of losing it and he's just trying to keep the peace or
Okay.
whatever. And I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
okay. Um, and so then, okay, so that was 2019 that I like confronted or in 2020, that was the phone call. So, oh, and so also during this time, I'm just about to start law school.
Mm.
So, and it's COVID, and it's like, right, it's like all these
Yeah.
things that are just like the drama of the outside world.
Yeah.
And then, so for that next year, we're like, things are starting to come out a little more. Like, the crazy still happening. He's not answering our calls. When he does and she's around, he's like really nervous sounding and like just again trying to get off. Like, it's just, it doesn't get any better. And we're like, I don't know what's going on, Dad. Like, we're kind of nervous for you here. Like, is everything okay? And
What does
then
he
in
say when you
2020,
ask that? Like, when you say those things, what does he say?
just like, he's like, things are just a little tough right now, but everything's okay. Everything's going to be fine. Like, this is when he's not with her. When he's with her, he's just like, yeah, it's fine. I got to go. Like, he literally
Oh.
is trying to, he either doesn't answer or he is trying to get off the phone. We've gotten, like, during that year too, when we were like calling him more, obviously, and texting, trying to like get a
Engage
hold of
him.
him,
Yeah.
he wouldn't answer. We would get strange, like, text that he was like away for work. Like, it would just be
Whoa.
really like weird
And and
stuff,
and so what's the conversation when you talk to your sister about it? What is that like?
Hmm.
What is that conversation like? Are you just so deeply perplexed? Like, what is going on with dad? And we, like, obviously you don't know, but like,
Yeah.
how disturbed are the two of you in regard to your dad's situation?
I mean, like, very,
Yeah,
very,
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, we were talking about like, should we go there?
Hmm.
Like, do we need to like get him physically out? But
Yeah,
it didn't yet seem at that point, right? It was still like this really not straightforward. Like, we didn't even
yeah.
know what was happening. So it
Yeah, you
wasn't
don't even
like,
have any details. You can't rescue someone
right,
from something that is
that we don't,
non-specific, you know? Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And so, um, so then in 2021, um, my grandma, my yaya, his mom gets
Uh-huh.
sick,
Okay.
and that's kind of when things go bad,
Mhm.
worse, I guess, or we
Mhm.
find out. But so she's sick. Um, we're basically like put our life on hold to like go take care of her and be
Mhm.
with her. And my dad's just kind of like not, he's there, but then he like quickly has to hurry off. Like, my sister and I like took care of my yaya like getting sick and dying. So he just like was not present. Like, he would show up and like take her to the hospital. She died of colon cancer. So like it was fast, but it was like 3 months of just kind of in and out of the hospital, and like, not knowing what was wrong with her either.
Yeah, yeah.
Because up until this point, she's like 90. I think she just turned 90, but she like lives on her own. She like
Hmm.
does everything by herself. She's super independent.
And your dad, I'm
Anyway,
assuming similarly to
yeah.
how you and your sister and your dad were very close, that he was very
Hmm.
close with his own mother. Up
Oh,
until
yeah.
okay, yeah.
Yeah. That's a good yeah. I mean, they actually at one point lived together. Like,
Oh,
he moved
okay.
in with her to kinda just, like, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
really yeah, to family, like,
Family
to just
thing.
be
Yeah.
there
People
and
get
look
older
out for
and you
her
take care
and
of each other. Yeah, that's how it goes. Yeah.
absolutely. So, it was, like, super yeah, just weird and also, like, this is when we're like, "What is happening? Like, you
Yeah.
have to be here. Like, this is really hard and
Yeah.
confusing and, like, painful, and, like, we need our dad, and, like,
And she
you're
needs her son
and she needs
and
her son,
wow, that's so strange. Okay, yeah.
and so now he starts telling us about, like, what's really been going on,
All
and
right. Here we go. All
he's
right, let's
here
go.
we go, and
Yeah.
so he's just like, I don't know what to do. Like, everything I do is wrong. She tells me I'm like worthless and that nobody's going to love me and that no one in my family loves me. And like, and so this is like the emotional kind of like she has been trying to separate him from his family, right? Like the aunt, the friends,
Yeah.
the family. Like, she's really paranoid. You can't go out. You're cheating on me. You're cheating on me. Like, I know that's what you're doing. Again, then later it comes out there's also physical abuse. Like, she's
Oh
throwing furniture
no.
at him. She's like, if you leave, I'm going to burn the house down. They had a little dog. She's like, I'm going to kill the dog if you leave. Like, just
So this is
crazy.
so it turns out then that what has been going on is she's like long-term emotionally and at times physically abusing your dad.
Yeah. Yes.
And he
And
was so like I don't know, can't struggling to find the right word, but he was so like under her spell or control, whatever, that he couldn't even tell you,
yeah,
basically. Wow.
I think that like there's like a couple things. I mean, one, obviously, like this was developed over time, right?
Right.
Like she first started out by isolating him from his friends and family,
Totally.
and
Yeah.
then started being like, I'm the only one, the like mental game of like, I'm the only one who could ever love you, and
Yeah.
like, I love, that kind of stuff. And then the threats, and then the physical, like that was happening over like the four
The
or
3 or 4 years.
five years or whatever,
And
or three,
what
4 years.
what's
Yeah.
interesting about it also that's worth thinking about is like you got to wonder if Maria was
Hmm.
thinking this man has been out of the loop of the scene where like he
Hmm.
hasn't dated for so long that you have to imagine that if you're looking for a mark, if you're looking for someone
Yeah.
to steamroll, that's the perfect
Yeah.
candidate because it's like 20 years is a long time to
Long
not date.
time.
You don't he must have been second guessing like maybe this is how it is or
And
this
normal, like
is
this is
what's
what
normal.
love is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
No,
dark.
that's and he I mean, to like give a little more context too. So my family, my dad's side of the family, they grew up in a really small village in Greece,
Mm,
like in the mountains. Like
mm,
he went back, they moved here when he was like 15 years old. He didn't know any English. He was like super bullied,
mm,
and like didn't finish high school. He like got his GED or whatever that's called.
mhm.
Like, he's smart and he's so kind, but he's like kind of also dumb. Like I think he
Sure,
just
yeah.
doesn't know, and he's just like very trusting and
Yeah.
like he had a tough life, and I think she saw that. Like she saw that he maybe yeah, like I don't know. To your point, like was just didn't know what was hadn't been in a relationship in a long time.
Yeah.
Didn't kind of know like what was going on. Was very kind. Also, like in the Greek culture, like men are supposed to be strong and like the caretakers and like be the ones like taking care
Yeah.
of everything.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
that also makes sense as to like why he probably didn't want to tell us too. Of like,
Right, right. He has it under
I don't need
control.
help.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
helping other people. Like
yeah.
I'm not the one who needs help or whatever.
Also, people
Um,
that do these kinds of things, it's always the case, the predator or the abuser in this case, like they always have this almost innate radar of who to pick. Like they
yeah.
don't go after people that they know they can't dominate or control or do this thing that they do, which is this long, slow control game. It's like they have this innate sense of it will work on her or him or whatever it is, you know? And
Mhm.
obviously she was right about your dad. But so what was the thing that it was the thing with his mom that made him open up to you about what was going on. Is that right? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it was like as she progressively got worse and, like, he had to be there more because she was dying,
Hmm.
it's like it just it was like a forced escalation, you know,
Hmm.
like, things got worse with her, obviously, because she was, like, didn't want him to be around people who genuinely loved him so he
Hmm.
could know that what he was experiencing wasn't love at all,
Yeah.
and, she wanted to keep him isolated because
Yeah.
that's what how you control somebody,
Totally. Yeah. Totally.
And so he started telling us, like I said, what all had been going on. And then so my grandma passed that summer and and he left. I put this in quotes because it's like he left the house that he shared with her and moved in to my grandma's house. And he
Mm.
was like, I'm gonna leave or I'm leaving her, right? Like things are over.
Okay.
And oh my gosh, wow, I just had a memory that came back. I This is like all as I'm telling it, I'm
Yeah.
like remembering new things. But um so he had left before she died, actually. I'm sorry, and stayed with us because we're like, we're here, like we're
Yeah.
gonna help you through this.
Yeah.
Like, if stay here, don't go home, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. 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 You got to get the abused person
please
out of this situation. Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Please do not go back. Like, this woman is crazy.
Hmm.
She's manipulating you, like, she's abusing you, like, you're scared. We see that. You're safe. You're here with us. Don't go back. And
Hmm.
he's like, so scared. He's so visibly scared.
Oh my God.
But
I mean,
he,
that's just
yes,
like, it must have been so brutal seeing your father like that. Like, that's hard to see your parent in be afraid at all of anything,
yeah,
you know? But that's
yeah,
such an intense, powerful scenario. Like, it's very, very vivid what you're describing. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's devastating.
Yeah.
Like, this is my father. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, who's always been like a strong
Yeah.
person. I'm like,
Totally.
no
Yeah.
matter what, it's like, I whether or not we got along, we had a great relationship or whatever, I knew he was like always there for me.
Uh-huh.
I was like, I could be in another country and he would buy a ticket like
Right.
overnight and fly
Right.
if I
Right.
needed him.
Yeah.
I'm just like, and
Yeah.
to watch like this man that I love, who I believe loved me, just
Yeah.
like lose sight of that so
Yeah.
much and
Yeah.
like be so scared. Like it was like, yeah, it was devastating. It was
Yeah.
devastating.
Yeah.
But at that point we were just like, just stay. Like, you
Yeah.
just can't go back.
Yeah.
We're here. It's going to be okay. And she comes over to our grandmother's. She calls him, first of all, she's nonstop texting, calling
Oh
like a
man.
100 times, just like, you better come home. Like, again, threats of like, I'm going to break the house. Like, I'm going to burn it down. Like, just
What
these
the
threats of like
oh
destroying things.
wow.
And
Yeah.
then I have your boss. I'm going to call and tell all of your friends you cheated on me and that you're abusing me, and we'll
Oh
see who they
no.
believe.
Oh
And
my
like,
God. Holy shit.
yes, like, just crazy. And
Yeah.
so we're like, ignore it, dad. Like, and he's scared. At first he's trying to like be like, listen, I just think we need some space,
Yeah.
or like, I'm just gonna be whatever. I'm like, but stop texting
That
her. Like,
doesn't
don't
work. Yeah.
engage.
With someone like that,
Please stop.
put it
Like,
away.
put
Yeah.
it away.
Yeah.
So he does, but then she shows up and she's like banging on the window and she's like, Jimmy, like, I know you're in there. Like, don't let like these girls like take you away. Like, come on outside, face
Whoa.
me, and like bang on the window. And we're like, don't open the door. Like,
Yeah.
and then he does. He's like, let me just tell her to go away.
Oh man.
And at this point, like, I'm I don't even know I mean, like, I'm scared and confused, and
Yeah.
I'm someone who, like, I think when I get scared, I get a little, like, the nervous laugh, I'm just like,
Uh-huh.
I
Yeah.
can't even believe, like, that this is
Yeah.
happening,
Yeah.
and so, like, I'm in the background. My sister's recording it because she's like, "If she does something, then, like, we have to call the police, we can," because again, it's like, yeah, how often is the woman the abuser
It's
and the, like, the
Yeah.
manipulator, and
I mean,
I
obviously everyone knows it happens, but it's extremely more common the other way around, and it's
right.
interesting to hear it in such vivid detail when it is the less common way, because we do hear
Yeah.
very often about it, when it's the man doing what Maria's doing, but it
Mhm.
clearly can go just as much the other way, and it is just as scary. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's terrifying. So, yeah, my sister's recording it, and my dad had opened the door to basically just be like, "I need you to, like, go
Yeah.
away,"
Yeah.
and, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
"My sick mother is in the house,
Ay,
like,
ay,
I
ay.
need you to just go." And again, like I said, I'm just like nervous
Yeah.
laughing, and she's just like, "You bitch, you're laughing. I see you laughing back there." And like,
Wow.
I'm just like, "Oh my God, I need to like step away for a second." And like, I'm like, "Dad, close the door. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
please, like, make her go away." So he does. And this is like, Matt, this is why I'm like, I'm scared too. I mean, my dad's scared. He's
Yeah.
scared of this woman, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, she's not gonna go. She's gonna wait for me. I can't go to work in the morning. She's gonna be waiting outside the garage. She's gonna like stab me or something. And I
Oh
was like,
my God.
and I was like, do you genuinely think that's gonna happen?
Yeah.
Because if so,
Yeah.
we need to like call the police right
Totally.
now.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, no, I don't know. I just like frazzled, like
Yeah. Yeah.
clearly terrified, doesn't know what she's gonna do because she says all sorts of things and has
Mhm.
actually acted obviously like by throwing things at him, like has done stuff
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm just like, we don't end up calling the police. She does go away eventually.
Okay.
Um, but then my Yaya passes and
Uh,
we go back to our lives and we're like, but we're here, I'm like a 3.5 hour drive away.
mhm.
I'm like, if you like just stay here, don't
Mhm.
like you're doing so good. You've got through the hardest part, right? Like it's gonna get
Mhm.
easier. And then we find out that maybe like 6 months later, or maybe less, like at this point, I don't even know, but he did move back in with her. Oh, that's what it because
Wow.
he like had lied that he didn't, right? But then it's very clear based on the frequency with which he like doesn't call us again,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, you're back with her now.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So then that next year, so now we're in like, I don't know, I think, end of 2021, like early 2022. And at this point, we're just like trying to get him out. Right now that we know what's happening, it's like Operation Save Dad. Like I don't know what we need to
And
do, but
how
we gotta
I
like,
was I was just gonna ask, like, what do you even do? Like, what do you do?
I mean, well, and so right, like what do you even
Yeah.
do? And at this point too, I mean, like we have just been through so much, like with my Yaya passing and with finding all this out and him repeatedly being like, just give, like, I'm gonna leave. Like at this point,
Yeah.
he had left and then gone back. And he's like, just give me a little more time. Like, I promise everything's gonna be okay. I'm like, I can't deal with this right now. Like,
Mhm.
I'm so scared and sad for you, but I also like, you're not even trying
Yeah.
to get out of this
Yeah. Right.
situation. And
Yeah.
this is like, I'm in school. I'm like, I don't even know what to do. I can't deal with this. Like, I don't even know
Yeah.
how to deal with this.
Also, you are
And then,
still extremely young. Like, you're
yeah,
in your 20s, your sister's even younger. Like, you don't know how to fucking
yeah.
do this. Yeah.
And my sister, I feel, I mean, like jumping ahead, like their relationship, I don't think is going to take so long to
Mm.
recover, but she was like his emotional, she was basically his therapist this whole time. Like, I'm like, I can't do this.
Wow.
I'm like, Alexandra, I'm here for you. Like, I love you. I feel like you should take some space from this too. Like, he has to want to leave and then we can help him. But she's just like, so scared for him, of course. And she's
Yeah.
like calling him. He'll call her, like he'll get away and just cry to her and be like, I'm so scared, I don't know what to do. And she'll be like, you have to leave. Like, like she's being his like
Oh, that's such a tough place
emotional
for a child to
support.
be to their parent, like it's hard
Yeah.
under any circumstance. Someone you love is going through something like that. But I can only imagine it's that much harder when it's the parent sort of being talked to that way by their own child. Like, it's just it's so uncomfortable and sort of disturbing what's happening all around. But like, that must feel so fucked up for your sister in those moments, you know?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, she was like, I mean, understandably like a mess,
Yeah.
like this isn't something anyone should have to go through, like on either side. And, we aren't prepared. We're like, please talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Like
Right. Right.
they
Right.
do,
Right.
that is available. Like, again,
Totally.
it is usually the other way around, but there's help for men who are in abusive
A hundred
relationships. Like,
percent. Yeah. Yeah.
call someone, like,
Yeah.
here's some resources. And
Did
also,
anyone? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, and at one point too, I had left this out of the story. My dad had posted on Facebook they got married, and thankfully they did not. He later told us that was their compromise. Like, she wanted to get married, but he like knew better, basically, to like not entwine legally with this woman.
And
But
telling the
they like
world was
lied
their
to Facebook.
compromise.
That was their compromise, was that
Wow.
like he would post that they got married.
Even that is
And
so odd that, like, you think couples figure it out as they get older, but if you're fucked up, if you're imbalanced in one way or another, like, you don't get better as you get older. You just learn better ways of being that way. And like, Maria, I don't know how
yeah,
old she was at the time, but like, clearly she's not a young, spry individual anymore. This person's older and obviously should know better, but that's not how it even works. Which actually leads to
yeah.
my next question. Did you or your sister ever like talk to her anymore after all this crazy shit happened at your at grandma's house?
We kind of like, she had like texted us right after that first call, and we had kind of been in contact via text with her when we were more trying to like placate and just be like, we would rather be in your life and know
Yeah,
what's going on
right,
than
right, right,
not.
right.
But after, like everything at the hospital happened, it was so clear there was no, like, she was unwell. Like, there was nothing we
Yeah,
could say to her or
yeah,
do that would like
yeah,
change her behavior,
right, yeah, yeah.
Um, and yeah, and maybe also like relevant, because I wonder like like, she wasn't always like this. Did she do this with other husbands? Like, because she was married before,
That was
and
my yeah. What happened with that?
yeah,
Yeah.
he died. And don't, I want to say like he, he like had a heart attack or something. He died young though. But
I
like, right? Like the
mean, come
stress,
on,
right? Like, I
yeah.
don't know. I'm just like,
I mean,
and
putting up
she
with
had
that every
other kids.
day. If she exerted that same kind of control, or I mean, I don't want to speculate, but like, it doesn't take much for you to be like, well, that makes sense that someone would
Yeah, I
keel
mean,
over and die.
that stress
Yeah,
would
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
kill you. I mean,
yeah,
it's probably aged my dad like 10 years,
yeah,
but
yeah.
we, where are we now in this? And like, oh, so yeah, my sister's like emotionally supporting him. And I'm just like, I can't deal with this right now. Like,
Hmm.
you're not trying to leave. And I'm
Yeah,
here for you when you want to.
yeah,
Also dealing with the fact that I might never ever see or have a relationship with my dad again. Just like
yeah.
dealing with that potential reality. And then it's like maybe the second, I don't know, like third climax of the story. I feel like there were so many dramatic moments and it's all just crazy. But um, we had my Yaya's 1 year memorial. So, like in
Mm,
Greek tradition, um, you have like a service, obviously, when they die, like their funeral, and
yeah.
then you do something at, I think it's 3 weeks, and then, or I'm sorry, 3 months, and then a year, and then every year after. And
Oh,
so we had the 1 year memorial had come up, and so we drove back. I came to Chicago. My sister flew from LA. And again, we can't stay with him. Don't even know where he lives at
oh,
this point.
wow. Oh,
Like,
wow. Really?
yes. And, but we know we're going to see him. And we think maybe this is our ticket to kind of like get him to come with one of us, or, I'm like, at least
Oh,
we'll see him.
fuck, dude. Oh, that's so
we can
weird. It must be
like,
so weird. You guys were so close, and now all of a sudden you like don't even know where the fuck he lives.
I don't even know where he lives,
Wow.
but I'm like, I know I'm going to see him.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to see him. So like, and we were, again, we were like, I was less in contact with him, but my sister was more so.
Uh-huh.
But we were like, okay, so we'll see you because we can't stay with him. So we have to stay in our dead grandmother's house by
Right,
ourselves
right,
that
right,
hasn't
right.
been occupied for a year. It was
Yeah.
so sad and
Yeah.
so weird.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, we're going to see him tomorrow. This is going to be great. So we show up at the church. He's not there. And I leave to call. And I'm like, Dad, he won't pick up. He's like not picking up. And finally he does. And he texts, or he doesn't pick up. He texts, I have COVID. I can't come. And we're like,
Bullshit.
you
Bullshit.
absolutely don't have COVID.
Bullshit.
But we're
Yeah.
at church. I'm like, I can't. I'm like, whatever. We're going to
Yeah.
finish the service. And then
Yeah.
I'm going to like figure out what happened. So you started the service and everybody drives to the gravesite and you have like another service there. And so we're at the gravesite and all of our family is like, where is your dad?
Yeah,
Like,
right. Yeah.
where's your dad? And we're like, great question. And we would love to know. And my sister and I are in the car and I'm just calling him. And at this point, I'm like, am I panicking? I'm just like, are you okay? Like,
Yeah.
please pick up. Like, I just miss you. I'm scared. I just
Yeah.
need to know, like, you're there. Like, please pick up the phone.
Uh-huh.
He's not picking up. He's like, the texts aren't going through. We're getting those, like, I'm out of town messages. And I'm just like,
Dude,
what's happening?
whoa.
Like, I'm like, is he, like, what's happened? Like, my mind's going so many places.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I,
It's like it's like he's been fully brainwashed and is being completely
yeah,
controlled by someone else that you know is an
yes.
insidious figure. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so now we're just like, we can't sit here anymore and just like do nothing. I'm like, let's go like to his house. Like, let's go.
Oh, wow.
And so again,
Oh,
like I said, we
fuck.
don't know where he lives. So we call his work and we're like, do you have his address? We're like, we're like his daughters, we just want to check on him. Something's going on. We just want to make sure he's okay. And so they give us his address.
That's good.
And we drive there and we text him and we're like, listen, you're not picking up. So we're coming to your house. Like, I'm like, we got the address from your work. We're like coming to your
And does
house.
he respond to that even?
Oh yeah. Now he's freaked out. He's like,
yeah.
don't come. He's like,
Yeah.
please don't come. Like, it's just going to make everything worse. Like, and I'm like, well, too bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
it doesn't get worse than this.
Coming.
Like, you didn't show up for your own mother's special thing. You aren't talking to your daughters. You're scared out of your fucking mind by the person you live with. Like, it doesn't get worse. You're gonna end up dead. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm like, I'm gonna lose my dad one way or another.
Yeah.
So I'm also like, I have nothing. I don't give a shit anymore. I'm just let's go. Like,
totally. Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So my sister and I are driving there. We're like, my God, she had a Fitbit at the time and her heart rate was like 200. We're just like, is she gonna
die?
Come out with a gun? Like, what is happening? We're like, should we call the police too? Like, I don't know. No, I guess we're just gonna go do it. And so we're like getting close. Wow. And he answers and he says, please don't come to the house. I'll meet you at a McDonald's near the house.
That is
I'm
extreme.
just like, yeah. I'm just like, at this point, I just want to see him. So I don't care. It doesn't have to be his house. But I'm like, fine.
Yeah.
Like, and he's in the car. He's like, I'm in the car with her. Like, she just stepped in. Like, meet me here. I'll drop her off, and I'll say that, I had to make a work call, or like, I don't know. I'll figure it out. But just meet me at this McDonald's in like this amount in 30 minutes. And so we're like, okay, we'll meet you there. And then we had like put in the wrong McDonald's or something. And so we're like, sorry, we're turning around, He's like, no, well, that'll take too long. And she's already suspicious. And I can't do this. I just can't do this. Like, I'm sorry. And we're like, well, we're coming to your house. Like, one way or the other, we're going to
We don't give a fuck about this McDonald's thing. Like, that was your idea. We're fucking coming over. Fuck McDonald's.
Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Fuck McDonald's. Like, we're coming to your house. And he's like, no, please just don't. But again, like, so then we're like, okay, fine, Dad. Like, we won't come. We're not going to come to your house.
Right.
But we are.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so we drive up and we're just like, okay, here we go. Like, so nervous, don't know what's going to happen. And we walk up to the door, and it's like, you know how some front doors have like the windows kind of like on the side so you can
Yeah.
like see in
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So we're like looking in and we see him and we see her, and then he like disappears, and we're like knocking and we're like, we're not going. So you better
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
come answer this door. And so he comes back and he opens it, and I just see her like, Matt, it was like a cockroach. Like she just scurried away. Like she looked at us and was so mad, and then just like scurried behind, like into the next room. And I was just like,
What the fuck?
I mean, I'm about to just be like, listen,
Mhm.
like you're coming with us, fuck this
Yeah.
lady.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Totally.
and he's like, won't let us in. And he's like, just come with me, like, let's go talk over here. And I'm just like, okay. My sister and I are like, all right. And so we go into the garage, and
Whoa. You had to go in the
he goes,
garage?
go in the garage, and he goes, let's go. And then he goes, like he whisper mouths to us, like she's listening. And so like,
What?
and he's like winking. Like this is where I'm like, he's like like he's freaking out. He's like winking like a twitch, and just like with everything he says. And he's like, you know, I love you guys, and everything's okay. And Maria's great. And like, you have nothing to worry about. And we're just like,
Whoa,
what?
dude. What the fuck happened to this man? Like, this is crazy.
We got back in the car and just like sobbed, you
Yes,
know, like this is not.
seeing that must have been so devastating. Seeing him like that must have been so hard.
It was just like, who is our dad even in there? Like,
Exactly.
who is this
Is he still
person?
the person I know? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And he's just like, yeah, like I said, like winking. And all we can do at this point, we realize like who this man is, and it's not our dad. We are like last pleas of like,
Yeah.
we love you so much, and like tell Maria like we can work through this. I mean, this is such a lot, but just
Yeah,
whatever. Like
yeah. No, at the
we can
time.
work
Yeah,
through
yeah.
this.
Yeah.
We have nothing against her, dad. Like, please, we just miss you. Like, please just answer the phone, and like, please, like,
Yeah.
we're your daughters. We're your daughters.
Yeah,
Like,
just be our
please just
dad, talk to
be
us,
our
involve us in your
dad.
life. Yeah.
And he's like, everything's okay. It's fine. You know, like, just, it's okay. Just go, and I'll talk to you soon. And it's, everything's good. And we're just like,
Yeah.
okay. I,
So,
okay.
I mean, now you know though that there's no changing it, there's no getting away from it, there's no anything unless you completely extricate him from that. So
Right.
how does that happen?
So then, like, after we cry,
Yeah.
we're just like, okay, we need to go in. We call my mom, and they
Uh,
have had, like, they're very cordial, like, they're friends, you know,
okay.
like, it was, of course, tough when they separated, but,
Yeah.
you know, they always were so, like, they were friends. Like,
Yeah.
I have no memories of them ever hating each other.
Right, right, right.
They, you know, they loved us, and they just wanted us to have relationships with each other, and it was
Yeah.
all good. So, and she knows at this point too, we've been telling her about
Okay.
what's been going on.
Yeah.
And we're um, like, maybe if you could, like, I think we need to have intervention, basically.
Yeah.
I'm like, I think we
Yeah.
need to get like people to like
Yeah.
come and go in the house and like take him out and get his stuff and just like move him out. But we can't do this on our own. Like, we can't,
Yeah.
my sister and I, you know,
Yeah.
mid-20s, I'm like, we
Physically,
can't
you can't
handle
do
this.
it. Yeah, yeah.
We can't do this. So we like go home, and we kind of like, that's our next plan of attack, is like trying to get people, like, figuring out how this is going to play
Yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
And, you know, and meanwhile, he is talking to us more, but like still in secret. Like, his work is like his safe place. Like, he can go to work. Like, it's crazy to even say that, but it's like she wouldn't let him,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know, go anywhere or do anything. Or if he did, he would suffer verbal and physical abuse, like if he did,
Wow.
right? So it was just like easier to like go along with it, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
whenever he's at work, he calls us. We're like, it's starting to change a little. I'm like, okay, like at least we're building a relationship with him now,
Yeah.
and he keeps saying he's going to leave, but it kind of is different than before because he actually has a plan now. He's like,
Okay.
I'm gonna retire, and I have the letter I'm gonna send to my boss. Like, I'm gonna do it in this day, and then I'm gonna come up to you and like, blah, blah. And so I'm like, okay. I'm like, I kind of want to give him a chance, obviously, because if he can just leave, that would be great. Then we
Yeah.
don't have to like
Yeah.
do all this
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
stuff. And so it's like, I think July he said it, and then he pushed it back to August, and he pushed it back
Yeah.
to September, and
Of
so
course, yeah.
now we're like, God, again, like
Yeah, totally, yeah.
now are we the fool for believing him? But we just were hopeful.
Yeah.
Um, but then he does it. It's like he's calling us and he says he transferred. He isn't retiring, but there's an office in California, and he's like, I got transferred out there, so I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna like
Whoa.
leave. He's like, I already packed a bag. It's in the car, and he's like, so I'll see you tomorrow. And I'm like, okay, all
What
right.
the
And he does. He just like leaves and drives in the night, and then stays at my grandmother's house, and then leaves from there to me. I see him in the morning. I'm just like,
Whoa.
you
What
did it.
what
Like,
does he
you did it.
say transpired within him to be able to does he talk about it now? Like, does he say what snapped? What happened to make him go from for years, either being in
Hmm.
denial or being under her thumb or being totally controlled and manipulated into believing that he either can't escape or doesn't want to. Well, how
Hmm.
did he go from that, even through the death of his mother, even through the alienation from his
Hmm.
daughters who were his whole life? Like, what was the thing that got him over the hump?
I don't know if I mean, we've talked to him about it.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any one thing. I think it was all those things. I
Ah,
think it was like, it started around when his mother got sick and she passed. Then it was like the 1 year memorial. Like, it
yeah.
was just these events that I
Yeah.
think finally like added up. And then, when we were talking to him more, even in secret, I think my sister and I it was really hard for her because she was like, I just can't talk about what's happening with you. Like, I'll be there if you want to ask me about my day or if you want to just talk. Like, but I can't hear about
Yeah.
this anymore because it
Yeah.
breaks my heart,
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
get that. Yeah. I get that for sure.
and but I was similarly like that, but I think because she really had dealt with it when
Mhm.
he was going through it that
Yeah.
first time, I had more capacity to like to step in. Like, having a sibling, I know, it's just, you're like, man, I have like a best friend,
Yeah.
teammate going through
Yeah.
like, this is a person who's going to understand my life better than anyone
Yeah.
else will because they're going through it too. And
Yeah, it's true. Now just imagine that being Chris D'Elia though, so I bet you can sympathize with me for that. No, but yeah, no, it's true. It's weird. I think about this. It's like if I just met my sibling out in the world and it wasn't my sibling, we would get
hmm
along. We'd have a lot in common, but it's like it's not even in the same ballpark as that. It's like you
yeah,
are so connected, whether you want to be or not. You don't have a choice in the matter. But like
yeah,
you're so deeply entwined that there's a there's a level of understanding between the two or more of you that is indescribable and so deep and
yeah.
you can't manufacture that outside of that sort of sibling relationship. Yeah.
No, I mean, I don't, we like throughout all of this, and still to this day, we're just like, man, I don't even know what I would have done without you if I was
Yeah.
like going through that by myself. Like, I can't even imagine,
Totally. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I think so. Like, yeah, you asked kind of what was
Yeah.
the one thing, and I think it was a few things, and then like I said, when we were talking in secret, we really were trying to just be like, we love you. Like, this is what love
Yeah.
feels like.
Yeah.
Like,
Right. Yeah.
it's safe, it's
Yeah.
unconditional. It's like, it shouldn't make you feel scared or like ashamed. It's just, it's good. Like, this
Totally.
is,
Yeah.
and and I think like the hope, honestly, like that he could still have a relationship with us after, but that he wasn't going to if he stayed with us.
Yeah.
Like it
Right.
was
Right.
truly a
Right.
story of triumph. It was just
Yeah.
like I can
Right.
either lose my daughters
Yeah.
and be afraid my whole life,
Yeah.
or I can like choose them and I can get out of this. And it was like he did. I mean, it's remarkable because people like they say people in abusive relationships, it can take them up to 8 times on average. That's the average for them to leave
Wow.
abusive
Oh,
relationships.
wow.
And so like that he did it.
If they do it
I mean, I
all.
don't
If they
if
leave
they
it
do it
all. Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
they do
Yeah.
it all, of course, there's so many stories of just like
Yeah.
people staying with their abusers for
Yeah.
life. And
Till the end of their life. Yeah.
yeah, to the end of their life. And I mean, it's still remarkable. And I think that's why I'm just like, it feels crazy that that even happened
Yeah.
because it
Right
like
now it must
did,
feel
and
like
we're
a
on this
weird
other
nightmare or
side.
something. Like it did happen, but it must feel like this fever dream of like, what the fuck was that? Because now, I mean, your
Yeah.
dad is he's near you now and you live and you see him and it's back to almost normal, I'm
Yeah.
assuming, right?
Yeah. Like
Wow.
almost in a not like, at some point, I'm like, we need like family therapy because
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
we are all just pretending like all's good and like nothing's
which makes
happened.
sense. But I think a
Yeah.
time will come where it's like, let's like hash this out so it's no longer the elephant in the room, if no other reason,
Yeah.
like let's get it handled. Let's get it taken care of. Let's put it to bed so we can all move forward together, But
Yeah.
what's important actually isn't that. What's important is that he actually did pull himself out of that. I mean, frankly, it sounds like that never would have happened if it wasn't for you and your sister, which is a testament to you, both of you, and sort of like how you decided to or just instinctively handled that situation, which was impossible for you, I'm sure. But I would bet anything that he stays there until he does, until the end of his life, if you both aren't there to do something about it, because nobody else is there to do anything about it. There are people who care about
Hmm.
your dad at that point, but it's not like it's like the same thing I was saying about siblings. It's like if it's your own parent,
Hmm.
or if it's your own child, if the situation was reversed, your dad would have done the same thing for you. It's just like there's this bond that is undeniable, that is impossible to replicate or manufacture, that
Hmm.
family is what that's for. And
I totally agree.
yeah, and I don't think he gets out without you guys. So at least you
Well,
at least you know that.
I'm so proud that he did, and I tell him that all the
Yeah.
time, like how hard what it is, because he feels a lot of guilt and shame, obviously, about like not being there for those years. And I'm just
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Yeah.
you're here now, and it's a
Yeah.
miracle that you are, and we're
Yeah.
so glad that you are. And
Yeah.
it's yeah, I mean, your point about family, it's like I know so many people might be like, well, that's like because what we went, I mean, it truly was like so hard to both like witness that and be a part of that. But
Yeah.
like, I also just can't imagine like not just being like, oh, well, I guess I just don't. I mean, I was almost at that point where I was like, I guess I just am not going to have a relationship with my dad anymore.
Right.
Like, I
Right.
guess
But
I
that
should assume like he's dead.
was at the end of having tried, having been exasperated, having seen the effects of trying, which did nothing. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's not like it was your initial reaction. It makes sense to get
Yeah.
there, but even at that, you didn't stay there. You ended up there, literally going to his house saying, fuck McDonald's, I'm coming over. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
uh,
I'm coming over. Yeah.
that's going to be the name.
Maybe
It's gonna
that
be,
should have been the headline.
yeah, that's going to be the title of the episode. Fuck McDonald's. I'll get sued. Yeah. Oh, well, cool. Okay. Well, I mean, thank you so much for telling this story. I know you said it's the first time you told it, but that's a good thing. I'm glad we were able to get it first. And now you can say you've told it. Because I find at
Mhm.
least, a lot of the fucked up things that I've been through, intense things, they don't even have to be fucked up, but just like really intense experiences that were very emotional. Just telling them, just sharing them, doesn't matter who it is to, there's something cathartic about it. And the more you do it, the more catharsis there is. And then suddenly you're ready to, in your case, who knows, talk about it with your dad or whatever it is, like it every time you tell it, I think you get closer to something that is good, better for you,
Yeah. And it's funny, you guys actually came out with Lifeline,
Mm.
like right when it was kind of like shit was hitting the fan.
Oh,
And I
wow. Yeah.
almost called in to just be like, what do you do
Oh my God.
when your dad is in this situation? But it was kind of like one of those things where, yeah, like as you're going through it, you just can't even believe that it's
Yeah,
happening and you like don't
totally.
even
Yeah.
understand. And like also, yeah, I mean, how would anyone really know what to
Yeah.
say
All
in
right.
that
Yeah.
moment?
I mean, if I had to give
But like
advice to you, then I would have been like, I go fucking, I don't know, Yeah. Yeah.
like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm just grateful, like, for this. When you started making this podcast, like I said, I've been
Yeah.
listening to it, and I was just like, oh yeah, nothing crazy like that's ever happened to me. And it was just like
Yeah.
I don't know, remember those 6 years? And
Well,
so
yeah.
like,
I'm glad that light went off in
yeah,
your head because this is going to be a great episode. So thanks for
well,
watching, but also thanks for coming and telling your own story.
yeah, absolutely. Thanks for listening and yeah, letting me tell it.
For sure. I would say your name when I say bye, but we're not going to include your name. So thank
Beat
you.
it.
We'll be in touch. We'll let you know when the episode's going to come out.
That's great. Thanks.
Thank you.